Welcome back. Tonight we're taking some time to walk you through a new report published by the National Association of Realtors offering a look at home ownership in America. Ownership rates are improving significantly, especially for minorities, but not for one group. Black Americans saw home ownership rates increase by only 1.6% over the past decade. Compare that to Asian Americans, who increased their home ownership rate by 6.1%. Hispanics' rate went up by 5.4%. Home ownership by white Americans increasing by more than 3%. Now, to get a better understanding of this data, I talked just a bit ago with Andrew Scott of Scott Realty here in Buffalo. Thanks so much for taking some time for us. And while this report is a national snapshot of current home buying trends, are we seeing sort of the same thing here in Western New York?
We are. Thanks again for having me, Mr. Wooten. This is the national trend for sure, and it is the same case for Western New York as far as I've seen over the last few years. So the National Association of Real Estate Brokers has produced a study, the Sheba Report. It's the State Housing of Black America. And with this report that was just released 2 months ago, we've been watching this trend and noticed that the same thing is happening well across the nation, and in Western New York, I've noticed the same. What we're seeing is that the locals are actually seeming to back off of the purchasing homes right now. What I find is that they're making a shift over into lofts and temporary stays. The others are relocating. So I think that that's a part of that we're not really paying attention to is the shift of the generations. They say that the millennials will not stay in a home for more than 7 years. So I believe that as we go into the future with these new generations coming in, I think that home ownership is going to reduce as a whole. But what I also see is most definitely the clientele that I'm serving, there is a shift in what they've been doing. We'll speak to the people of color for one. We're seeing shifts in that, being that a lot of people are having debt to income issues. So it's not easy to purchase a house when your debt to income is over 43%. And these are people who have gone to school. So while the college rates go up, that debt to income goes up as well. And that reduces the ability for someone to be able to afford to purchase a home.
What are some of the other hurdles specific to Black home buyers that they're facing?
Yeah, so great question. Credit score is an issue, not just the score itself, because one can get the credit repaired with some credit counseling, but it's the credit history. And what is that? The credit history is happening because of the low income of the market area, right? And maybe even the job availability in Western New York. If one can only sustain to pay their bills, that can be troubling when it comes to actually cutting that check. You have to make a decision on what bill to pay and what bill you may not be able to pay in order to keep food on the table and also some quality of life. And so when that happens and those bills are missed, the credit score gets greatly affected. And that is a major factor. We've been blessed to have some new products come down the pipeline that are not credit score based, but credit history based. But essentially, those products actually cause more of a problem because where one could have got the credit fixed, now at this point, there's a trend. So they're looking at 2 years out. What have you been doing? And that's an issue. The other issue is really just income, to be honest with you. With the equity gap and the income gap, Black Americans as a whole across the nation, especially in Western New York, where we make far less than most of the nation, we're finding that these individuals are not qualifying high enough for the market, as we were on air last time, speaking to the average house sales in Buffalo, New York at 250. That household has to make just above the average household income for Buffalonians as a whole, but more so Black Buffalonians. And so that threshold is just going further and further away as we move forward.
Finally, it's interesting that we reached out to you today to talk about this because it turns out you're having an event that starts in just a little bit at 6 o'clock tonight that's really intended to sort of help address this issue, right?
That's correct. So I am the co-founder and the president of the local NARAB board, and our goal is to make sure that we educate the practitioners in the real estate space and also the community. We are the premier network of Black real estate professionals. And in that, what we reached out to was the home lending vice president, Amarellis Blackwood, from Chase Bank. And we said, hey, listen, you guys have been here for less than a year. How can we create some synergy with our organization, with our businesses here on the local level to make sure that you guys get what you need in the community of which we serve? And so they were more than happy to come here this evening. She brought four of her colleagues to convene with us tonight at Seneca One Tower on the 29th floor at Serendipity Labs, where we are going to speak with them about their products, everything from accounts to investments to first-time home buyer products to small business and commercial loans. And so, again, it's kind of bridging that gap. We don't know what we don't know. So our goal as NAREB is to educate, to enrich, and to uplift the community.
That event going from 6 to 8 o'clock tonight. Andrew Scott with Scott Realty Group. Thanks for talking with us as always. We appreciate it.
Thank you all.